Hi everyone and welcome to that epic challenge. We are going to put one in front of another a very old MacBook Pro of 2009 on your left and a MacBook Air on your right. The MacBook Pro is from 2009, has a 250 gigabit memory, is quite old but still working very good, and the MacBook Air you see on your right is brand new. We are going to understand how much happened during these years. Luckily a lot, but not so much. So I anticipate you that if you want to keep on going with your MacBook Pro from 2009 or even buy one now, it is still a possible things to do. Now let's go to download a video from my YouTube channel. So we are like doing a meta YouTube video. We do the download from both the laptop, so we can have the same, we can understand how faster they download. It's probably the same since it's the same Wi-Fi, so I don't expect to have so much difference. Let's go and check it out. Okay, we can maybe download that, but it's not there. Let's go back to YouTube channel. So now we are on the same page and we can go to download that the Fluent C file. We do the same on the MacBook Pro. Where is it? Here it is. Okay, and we just start to download them in the same exact moment. Where is okay, it's there, and now we download both. So for the M1, for the silicon, it's 32 seconds. So is a little bit closer to completion, but not so much. I can see that they are more or less on the same level. Of course, we are doing that using Chrome because it's a lot faster. I did it with Mozilla, and Mozilla for that video is slower, but of course that's YouTube, so it's Google stuff. So we are almost near completion with M1, a little bit more than a half with the MacBook Pro. So what we want to do is take these videos and we're gonna upload them inside of a software called Screencast-O-Matic. It's a software I use for screencast video. That's not one of them, as you can see. Okay, so we go to open our file and we import them using Screencast-O-Matic. Okay, should be very fast because it's just an easy operation in general. We import also from a MacBook Pro. The MacBook M1 has already imported the file. Let's do it also with the MacBook Pro. It's a little bit slower, as you can see on the top right corner. It's like 50%, and the other one is already completed. So now we want to upload both and then change something very small. We might want to add an additional audio track. So we open them, we do exact the same operation, and we go to edit, modifica here, and we can go to music, and we can choose from acoustic music something like something like happiness music. We do the same from here, music, happiness. Yes, acoustic. All right, so here we are. That's easy operation, very fast, very few seconds to complete our sample change to our track. And then when we have it, we can export as MP4 file. We want for them to start at the same exact time. So here we are. 3, 2, 1. No, we changed the quality. Yeah, we put the quality on normal on both. Maybe we save some time. It's just a test. Okay, so we can go. So we are starting at 6.21 minutes in that video, and as you can see, MacBook Pro is not even 1%, and the other one is already progressing faster to the 2-digit. So we have the MacBook Pro at 1%, and the M1 already 18%. So we have on the left a MacBook Pro late 2009, and on the right we have a Silicon M1 MacBook Air 2020. As you can see, for $1,000 you can buy a machine that is so much faster, even if it's not built for video editing. Is quite a lot faster than the previous MacBook Pro that should be a bigger machine, at least in theory. Now we are 37% with the M1, and we are not even at 5% on the MacBook Pro. So now you're already getting an idea how much is slower the MacBook Pro from 2009. It's interesting. We are close to 50% with the M1. Of course, that's not a real project, it's just a sample, but I think it's enough to understand the difference between one and the other. So if you are stuck with an older generation, with an Intel of a few years ago, it's probably a good idea to upgrade. Still, I always say that the MacBook Pro still works perfectly. I changed the battery and the fan, but it still it was a great buy. It was for €1,000 2009, so has been around for more than 10 years. Still in perfect shape. That's clear that it's not possible to do so much from a normal usage. Already video editing is super boring, as you can see. Probably it will take something around 20 minutes or so. Is a lot less, is a lot warmer, the MacBook Pro. Touching it, I can feel it as it's very hot. And the other one is like a spring day. So we already see difference in battery. The MacBook Pro can endure 1 hour. I can tell you that the MacBook Air is going on for 1 day, 8, 9, 10 hours, something like that. It depends, but for sure one day. So the M1 is almost complete, almost close to 100%, and the other one is like 13%, the MacBook Pro. So the Air is okay, totally destroying, but we were expecting that. That's not a surprise. Let's check the video if it's worked properly. I also want to spend some word for the good audio of the MacBook Air. It's very crisp. It's very deep. Probably on the bass side is not so good, but imagine it's just so thin that, well, it's just great as it is. So the MacBook Pro is at 17%, a lot slower. So we stop for a little bit. I'll come back in a few minutes. We are at 6.32 on our clock, so we can catch up later. So now is 6.45. We can talk a little bit about the M1. I want to spend some words also about the microphone. The microphone is great. It's just bloody amazing. And it retains the sound in a way that another microphone I have that was like €100, so not very professional, expensive, but still for an integrated microphone. MacBook Pro from 2009 doesn't have such a good microphone components, so well, isn't a reason more if you are on the go to buy a laptop that has good speakers, good microphone. The MacBook Pro is a great machine, of course, but now to be on mobility is not enough, because with 1 hour, 1 hour and a half, couldn't give you enough juice even for a half work day. So what I was thinking about is that when we talk about the M1, the MacBook Air M1, it's more like the autonomy of a smartphone. And that's true because the processor is an ARM, right? So we had that shift moment in the industry where we can have some of the good things of a smartphone, and also the good things of a computer. So you can also see the brightness is better, but we would have expected that. And even if you maybe see a little bit smaller the M1, but the screen is as big as, but with a better resolution, and also can fit in a smaller pocket, is slighter, but that's obvious considering that we are putting a Air model in front of a MacBook Pro. Of course, if we think about the MacBook Air of the same period, 2009, is not probably having such a great performance as that one is having. So now we are going very slowly toward the completion of our publish. And yeah, we can also hear that the speakers are very good, and is also thin, and that's really good because usually speaker of Air are not extremely good. Usually the MacBook Pro have a lot better audio. But in that case, I have to say that is very good. I'm not using anymore an external speaker, because that is good enough for almost everything I have to do. Not sure if I said before, but probably the worst part of that MacBook Air is the camera. Is like, come on, put an HD camera on that laptop, but still, okay, is something to have most mobility you can. So definitely I hope in the next generation they will improve the webcam, because it's really not as good as, for example, the microphone on the screen and the keyboard. And yeah, also the keyboard, I can spend a word or two about the keyboard. Now we jump a little bit further, and we are next to 90%. We are almost done. 95%. So we are almost done. So okay, it's easy, no? It's easy to win with the MacBook Air Silicon. But to be honest, guys, the MacBook Pro is sold for 350 euro. And it's still a good bargain for that money if you think that you can do a lot of things that are not editing video and not heavy coding. But for the rest is still a really good survival machine. I have a friend also that put the last operating system, okay, with a crack, on a similar MacBook Pro. I decided to stay original, like an old cars lover. I prefer to stay all original as I can. So let's try that video. Finally is completed after a lot more time, probably 20 minutes more than the MacBook Air for converting that file. Let's check it. It's working fine. Audio is bad because a headphone is broken, but it's not so bad anyway. The speaker is broken. Yeah, it's fine, huh? So if you are working with something similar and it takes you a lot to transconvert the video, and you are thinking about spending 2000 euro for a machine that maybe is too much, well, if you don't have to do so much heavy editing video, it's still a good idea to buy a MacBook Air. The MacBook Pro had a lot of upgrades during the years, like I say, the battery is new, the fan is new, but nothing more. And another thing that is some kind of bad, of course, they don't get old, but they need the protection, because it's so easy to scratch them with the rings, with anything you can imagine. So they need to have something around the body to avoid the scratches. So to be honest, that on the MacBook Pro we have an operating system from 2016. I think that El Capitan is the last that we could put officially on that machine. Of course, we have plenty of crack to do different. So another bad things about the MacBook Air, I think, with the camera, is that the MacBook Pro is very easy to repair. So I did it without any help, and the MacBook Air is not. So is everything for that video. I'll see you on the next one. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. See you.